Good morning, students. Students, in our previous lecture, we have started with you the chemistry of transition and the inner transition element. And in that, I told you that the transition elements are those elements in which the last differentiating electron is filled in the d subshell. And the d subshell must not be complete. I told you all transition elements are the d block elements, but all the d block elements are not the transition elements. Like zinc, cadmium and mercury, they are the d block element as their last differentiating electron enter into the d subshell, but they are not the transition elements. Now, when we were discussing the general characteristics of a d block element, we discussed with you the general electronic configuration, we discussed with you the atomic radii and the ionic radii, we discussed with you the atomic volume and the density along with the metallic character. Now student, today we will start with another general characteristics, and that will be the ionization enthalpy. So we continue our lecture with general characteristics. We continue our lecture with general characteristics, in which the first one was metallic character. We have done with you the metallic character. So metallic character has been done. Number second will be atomic radii and ionic radii. Atomic radii and ionic radii. So this again has been done. Third was we have done atomic radii, ionic radii, then atomic volume and density. So atomic volume and density, these three properties has already been done with you. Now student, today we start our discussion with ionization enthalpy or ionization energy. So we start our discussion with ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy, or we may call it as ionization energy. Now listen very carefully. What is ionization enthalpy or ionization energy? It is the amount of energy required to remove the electron from the isolated atom in the gaseous state. I told you earlier also, and we have been doing it from the last so many years, that ionization energy is inversely proportional to atomic size. Am I clear? Ionization energy is inversely proportional to atomic size. Now, as we move along the series, either 3D series, 4D series, 5D series, 6D series. So, as we move along the series, atomic size decreases. The reason for this has been explained to you in the previous lecture. Atomic size decreases. So, ionization energy increases. Am I clear, student? In the beginning of the series, the decrease in the atomic radii is quite pronounced. So, decrease of ionization energy, or I must say increase of ionization energy is quite effective. But after the middle of the series, the decrease is not much in the atomic radii. So, ionization energy although increases, but not very much. But remember very carefully, if I consider zinc and cadmium, and this I am talking about the first ionization energy. If I consider about zinc and copper, students just see, zinc has the outer configuration of argon 3d10 4s2, and copper has the outer configuration of argon, this will be 3d10 and 4s1. Am I clear? Now, this is 3d10 4s1. This is more stable configuration as compared to copper. So, zinc first ionization energy will be greater than, this is for zinc, will be greater than the first ionization energy for copper. So, first ionization energy for zinc is greater as compared to the first ionization energy for copper. Now, when we talk about the second ionization energy, just see very carefully. If we talk about the second ionization energy, now zinc, or in fact copper, after losing one electron, it will acquire copper 1 positive charge. Copper 1 positive charge will have a configuration, this will be 3D, and 9 over here. Is it clear? Now, when first electron is removed, this ionization energy will be called as a second ionization energy. Now, in the case of a zinc, if one electron is removed, it will acquire the configuration of argon. This will acquire the configuration of argon 3d10, and in the case of copper, this will acquire the configuration, zinc, it will acquire the configuration of 3d10 4s1. Now, this have a stable configuration. So, first ionization energy, after this, if we consider the second ionization energy. So, second ionization energy of copper will be more than a zinc ion over here. If we consider over here the second ionization energy of copper will be more than that of the zinc. Is it clear? So, second ionization energy of copper will be more than those of a zinc. So, these kind of a thing you must remember. So, over here the copper will be having a higher ionization energy as compared to zinc if we consider over here second ionization energy. Second ionization energy over here. Similarly, the further ionization energy can be discussed over here. Am I clear? So, in the beginning the first ionization energy of zinc is greater than copper due to stable configuration of a zinc. But second ionization energy of copper will be greater than zinc due to stable configuration of a copper. Am I clear? Along the series, the ionization energy slightly goes on increasing because the atomic radii goes on decreasing. Now, if we move down the series, that is from 3D series to the 4D series to the 5D series, atomic radii increases slightly, although the increase is not much due to the lanthanide contraction. Of course, that slight increase also affects the ionization energy. So, I think this property must be very, very clear to you. So, student, now we have done with you the 4 properties: metallic character, atomic radii and ionic radii, atomic volume and density, and ionization enthalpy or the ionization energy. Now, the 5th property will be the oxidation state over here. If you look at the next property over here is a oxidation state. Next is a oxidation state over here. Now, if you look at the member of the transition elements or the 3D series, 4D series, just see over here, the energy of 3D and 4S are almost similar. Then energy of 4D and 5S, this is almost similar. Energy of 5D and 6S, this will almost be similar. So, due to the similarity in the energy of d orbital and the outer s orbital, they shows variable oxidation state. So, they shows variable oxidation state. They shows variable oxidation state. So, in this case, they shows the oxidation state, and this will be a variable oxidation state because the energy of 3D and 4S, 5D and 4, because the energy of, because in this case the energy of 3D and 4S, then 4D and 5S, and 5D and 6S, this is almost similar. This energy is almost similar. Am I clear, student, over here? So, this will be due to the similarities in the energy. Now, if you look at the oxidation state, up to the middle of the series, the oxidation state goes on increasing, and after that it becomes less and less stable in the higher oxidation state. As for example, if we consider the 3D series, the various members of the series are scandium, then titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, then copper, and then zinc. The oxidation state in scandium will be +2 and +3 oxidation state. What is the configuration of for scandium? This will be argon 3d1 4s2. If it loses these 2 electrons, it will be showing the +2 oxidation state. If it loses 3 electrons, it will be showing the +3 oxidation state. Naturally, scandium in +2 oxidation state, in +3 oxidation state will be more stable than the scandium in the +2 oxidation state, because after losing the 3 electron, it will acquire the stable noble gas-like configuration. Similarly, for titanium, the oxidation state will be +2, +3 and +4. Vanadium will be +2, +3, +4 and +5 oxidation state over here. This will be vanadium +2. This will be again +3, +4 and +5. Chromium shows up to +6 oxidation state. You must have studied the compound potassium dichromate. In the dichromate ion, the chromium oxidation number is +6. So this will be +2, this will be +3, then +4, +5 and +6. Am I clear? Name the compound in which the potassium shows the this chromium shows the +6 oxidation state, as for example in the case of a potassium dichromate. I am telling you this example because this has to be done in detail in this chapter. Now manganese, it may show the oxidation state +2, +3, +4, +5, +6 and +7. It will show the oxidation state as +7. One question which is normally asked in the board examination, the element in the 3D series with the maximum oxidation state is manganese. However, there is one element, osmium, although that is not the transition one, it may show the oxidation state of a +8. Am I clear? But in this series, this is a maximum oxidation state. This over here is a maximum oxidation state. After that, the oxidation state slightly goes on decreasing due to improper screening effect. This will be +2, this will be +3, +4, +5 and +6. For cobalt, the maximum oxidation state has been found to be up to +2. So this will be +2, this will be +3 and then +4. Nickel will be +2, +3, +4, +2, +3 and +4. Copper will show the oxidation state of +1 and +2. Zinc will show the oxidation state of +2. Remember, copper configuration is 3D10 4s1. When it loses one electron, it acquires copper 1 positive. Configuration becomes 3D10. When it loses one more electron, the configuration becomes 3D9. And because in the D9 configuration, the d orbital is not completely filled up, that is why copper has been included in the transition series or the transition element. So what are transition elements? All those elements in which the d orbital is not completely filled up. The question may be asked that in the zinc, atomic number 30, configuration is argon. This will be 3D10 and 4s2. Why zinc in D10 configuration is not considered as a transition element, but copper is? This is a question given in the NCERT book as well as in all the book. Because copper in +2 oxidation state acquires 3D9 configuration. Am I clear? Hence, it is included as a transition element. Give me one very common question answer, student. If I ask you CuCl2 and Cu2Cl2, can you name these compounds? This is cupric chloride. This is cuprous chloride. This cupric chloride is blue in color, whereas cuprous chloride is colorless or white, colorless in fact. Can you give me the reason? Because in cupric chloride, the oxidation number of copper is +2. Here the oxidation number of copper is +1. In +2 configuration, it has a 3D9 configuration, valence shell. This will be argon 3D9 configuration. And over here the configuration will be argon 3D10. Since it has an unpaired electron, so that is why copper will be copper 2 positive ion will be blue in color, whereas copper 1 positive ion must be colorless. If you whenever you come to the lab, will show you the cupric chloride and the cuprous chloride. One you will find to be blue, other one you will find to be colorless. This is all due to the unpaired electron available in the D subshell. Am I clear? One more thing, student, you need to learn. If we look at the relative stability of elements in the different oxidation state, then it can also be known from their standard reduction potential. So as a note, I am writing this: relative stability of element in different oxidation state. Relative stability of element in different oxidation state. Relative stability of element in different oxidation state can be known from its reduction potential. Can be determined from its reduction potential value. It can be determined from its reduction potential. It can be determined from its reduction potential value. So it can be determined from its reduction potential. Like if you take copper 1 positive in aqueous form, if it gains 1 electron, it will result in the formation of copper metal. Here the reduction potential will be, if we find out the E dot value of a reduction potential, it is found to be equal to 0.52 volt. But if you take copper 2 positive, and it gains 2 electrons, it will result in the formation of a copper metal, and over here E naught value will be found to be 0.34 volt. It is found to be 0.34 volt over here. Fine. It means copper 1 positive will be reduced more easily as compared to copper 2 positive, and hence it is less stable than the copper 2 positive. So over here copper 2 positive will be more stable than copper 1 positive. More stable. So this will be more stable. So what we learn from here, lower the reduction potential value, more is the stability. So this is more stable and this will be a less stable in nature. So lower the reduction potential, more will be the stability of this compound. Am I clear? Yes. So lower the reduction potential, more is the stability. So this oxidation state of the transition metal must be very, very clear. Up to the middle it increases and then it goes on decreasing. Is it clear? Now the next property or next characteristics will be color of the ions. So color of the transition metal ions. So next is color of ions. Now remember student, transition metal compounds in their solid form or in the ionic form in solution are colored. So transition metal compound, remember this, transition metal compounds, in their solid forms, or ions in solution are colored. Now the question is, what is the cause of coloration? Reason for coloration. This is very important question. First one is, it is due to DD transition. It is due to DD transition. And number second will be due to charge transfer. Due to DD transition and due to charge transfer. So due to DD transition and due to charge transfer. What do I mean by this? When I say due to DD transition, so what do I mean by DD transition? So due to d orbital transition. What do I mean by this? We have a d orbital and d orbitals are degenerate orbital. That is, they have 5 orbitals of a same energy level. These are dxy, yz, zx, x square, y square and dz square. Now, although this was a theory as a crystal field theory in the chapter of coordination compound, which is now deleted from the syllabus. Now student, this d orbital is split into 2. Whenever the ligands approach this, they will split into 2. And this will be T2g orbital. These are T2g orbital and EG orbital. and Eg orbital. In the case of octahedral splitting, this difference of energy between them is octahedral splitting energy. Now what happens? When I say that the colored compounds are of a transition element due to d-d transition, what do I mean by this? The electron in this degenerate orbital, suppose, is in the lower energy shell, lower energy T2g orbital. Now when they absorb energy from light, what happens? After the absorption of energy, once they absorb light, so after absorption of energy, this unpaired electron get excited to the higher Eg orbital. Eg means two-fold degenerate orbitals. So here this electron will come into the Eg orbital. This is a Eg orbital. And then over here we have T2g orbital. So this electron get excited to the higher Eg orbital. So some of the energy will be used to excite the electron to the higher orbital, and that means it is promoted, it is used to promote the electron from the lower energy level to the higher energy d level. Now the question is, why do they appear colored? Now the remainder of the light is emitted, some of the light is absorbed, which raise the level of from T2g to Eg. Remainder of the light is emitted, I must say, or due to emission of the remainder of the light, color which was complementary to the wavelength of the emitted light is observed. So why the transition metal compounds are colored? Due to absorption of energy from the light, electron from the lower T2g orbital get excited to the higher Eg orbital, remainder of the light is emitted, and the complementary color of the wavelength of the emitted light is observed. This is the cause for the this is a cause for the color of the complexes over here. Fine. For example, if I say the copper ion are blue in color. Now for the copper 2 positive ion, I will be writing the configuration as argon 3d9, copper 2 positive ion, it will be argon 3d9. Now what happened in copper 2 positive ion? These are 3d9 configuration. There will be electron distribution like this. There will be 9 electron distribution, 8 and 9. Now this will split into T2g and Eg orbital. This electron will rise to the higher energy level, or I must say simply, not explaining it in this manner, this unpaired electron in this orbital, unpaired electron over here will rise to Eg orbital by absorbing light, emitting the leftover light, the wavelength of which will be taken into consideration because the complementary color of the wavelength of that light will be obtained. So copper appears blue in color because due to the absorption of orange wavelength. What is the complementary color of orange? Blue. Absorption of an orange wavelength. Rest of the wavelength of a light are emitted, their color will be blue in color. Am I clear? And second reason is due to charge transfer. Second reason is due to charge transfer. What do I mean by the charge transfer? Now listen. If I say KMnO4, KMnO4 is purple or pink in color. In the board examination, question will come explain why KMnO4 is pink in color. Please do not write due to charge transfer because we have potassium dichromate and KMnO4 in syllabus which is to be discussed in detail. In KMnO4, this manganese is in +7 oxidation state. Oxygen is in -2 oxidation state. In KMnO4, there is a momentarily charge transfer. That is, for some time there is a charge transfer. For some time, O2 negative changes into O1 negative. Am I clear? And that one electron is being gained by Mn +7. It will gain from +7 to Mn plus 6. So there is a momentary charge transfer from O oxygen to manganese, due to which the KMnO4 appears to be purple in color. Am I clear? The two sure questions I have explained to you in the board examination. Why copper appears to be blue in color? Due to DD transition. Why KMnO4 is purple in color? Due to charge transfer, in which the electrons are being transferred from O2 negative ion to Mn plus 7. Mn plus 7 for some time changes to plus 6, O2 negative to O2 1 negative, and due to this charge transfer, they appears to be colored in nature. I think the color of the ion must be very, very clear. Now, next property is formation of complexes. Next is formation of O complexes. Formation of O complexes. Why the d orbital forms complexes? Reason is due to small atomic size, high nuclear charge, and vacant d orbital. So why do they form complexes? Due to small size. Due to small size. Second, due to high nuclear charge. Due to high nuclear charge. Small size, high nuclear charge. And third will be due to vacant d orbital. Due to vacant d orbital. Another 3 marks question in the board examination. Am I clear? So why they form complexes? Due to small size, high nuclear charge, and vacant d orbital. Now the next property, which will be this was the 7th property. Now the next property is alloy formation. Alloy formation. Now the question arises, why the transition metal atom forms alloys? Now the reason to this is very simple. The size of the transition metal atom is almost similar. Am I clear? There is not much difference in the size of a transition metal. So when the two transition elements are put together, the particles of one element can easily transfer into the other metal due to similar size of a pores, and hence they mix and forms a homogeneous mixture that is called as an alloy. Am I clear? So in the transition metal compounds or in the transition metal, the pores or the size is almost same. The pore size is almost same. So when the two metals are put together, the atoms or particles from one metal can transfer into another, forming a homogeneous mixture, and that will be called as a alloy. In the board examination, it will be asked, explain why the transition metal compounds form alloys. Am I clear? Next will be the magnetic property. Next over here is a property which is called as a magnetic property. Now in magnetic property, this has been done many times. If they do not have any unpaired electron, they will be diamagnetic in nature. And if they have an unpaired electron, they will be paramagnetic in nature. Am I clear? So if they have unpaired electrons, these will be paramagnetic. If they have unpaired electrons, these are paramagnetic in nature. And if they have a paired electron, these are diamagnetic in nature. If they have unpaired electron, these are paramagnetic. If they have a paired electron, they are paramagnetic, diamagnetic in nature. And the magnetic moment of this will be calculated by the formula. This will be equal to under root of n into n plus 2 Bohr's magnitude, which has been done many times with you, where n over here is the number of unpaired electrons. N is number of unpaired electrons over here. So n in this case are the electrons, which are the number of unpaired electrons over here. And the last property will be the catalytic property. The next property over here will be a catalytic property. Students, you must have seen all the transition metal forms, or in fact they are used as a catalyst. What do I mean by this? That is, they alter the rate of a reaction. The question is, why the transition metal atoms are used as a catalyst? The answer to this is very simple. They have a vacant n-1 d electron or orbital. So they can, so that these atoms can accept from the reactant atoms and form intermediate compound which lowers down the energy barrier and hence act as a catalyst. Am I clear? So, due to vacant n-1 d orbital, they accept electron. Due to vacant n-1 d orbital, they accept electron. They accept electron, lowering the energy barrier. Lowering the energy barrier. Lowering the energy barrier. Hence, act as a catalyst. Hence, acts as catalyst. Lowering our energy barrier and hence they act as a catalyst. Some of the catalysts over here are like vanadium pentoxide. It is very commonly used catalyst over here. Very commonly used catalyst. So, if we use vanadium catalyst in a contact process, what will happen? This vanadium pentoxide will react with sulfur dioxide and itself will change into vanadium tetroxide and formation of sulfur trioxide will take place. This vanadium tetroxide will again combine with oxygen and will result in the formation of a vanadium pentaoxide over here. So, it will result in the formation of vanadium pentaoxide. Am I clear? So, what happened? They react with sulfur trioxide and convert sulfur dioxide into sulfur dioxide, and the name of the process will be called as a contact process. Fine. So, why are they used as a catalyst? Because of a vacant n-1 d orbital in which they accept electron, forms accepting the electron, forming intermediate complex. Forming intermediate complex. Forming intermediate complex, lowering the energy barrier and hence act as a catalyst. So, students, these were some of the general characteristics of a D block element. I hope you must have understood this. Now, in the D block, we have to do the two compounds KMnO4 and potassium dichromate, which we will do in the next lecture. Till then, thank you.